Hey everyone, I'm RoblemVR, and today I'll be debunking arguments by the VR haters. Episode 1, 80s and 90s failures.
Let's go!
So by now you've probably seen more than one article or heard someone talk about how virtual reality is doomed to fail. Personally, I can understand why someone would be skeptical of VR a couple years ago, when the only big story was Facebook acquiring Oculus with a less than perfect prototype. But some of these articles are only a few months old. This seems strange with Oculus demand so high shipments are delayed, HTC just now keeping up with demand, over 1 million Gear VR users, and well over 5 million cardboard headsets shipped. There's actually a long list of reasons we hear over and over from VR haters that say this is all doomed to fail. This time I'm going to cover 4 related arguments. Failure of the Power Glove, virtuality, Virtual Boy, and the 90s VR in general. Back in the 1980s, we were introduced to virtual reality via experiments by NASA and the efforts of VPL Research. VPL Research was founded in 1984 and was one of the first companies to ever sell virtual reality products, including the iPhone and the Data Glove. Unfortunately, there was little demand for these groundbreaking products, and the company filed for bankruptcy in 1990. Power Glove, introduced in 1989, was based on the VPL Data Glove, but had severely reduced functionality to make it work with a Nintendo Entertainment System. Unfortunately, the only 2 games made specifically for the Power Glove, Super Glove Ball and Bad Street Brawler, sold poorly, and the Power Glove itself is considered to be a critical and commercial failure. In the early 90s, the Virtuality Group released a stand-up and sit-down models of its VR system, where up to 4 players could play head-to-head with games like Dactyl Nightmare. The $60,000 price tag was expensive even for arcades to purchase. Low resolution and primitive graphics gave the unit limited appeal. In 1995, Nintendo released the Virtual Boy. Despite having virtual in the name and looking like a VR headset, this is not any form of virtual reality. The unit had no head tracking or head straps and was meant to be played sitting down at a desk. While it does have dual displays that allow for 3D, the displays were made of a row of red LEDs and oscillating mirrors that made for a flickering, low-resolution monochrome image. Most games were regular 2D games with a slight 3D effect, and the few true 3D games didn't take advantage of the 3D display. It was discontinued in 1996 and was a commercial failure. So with all of these examples of VR failing, why wouldn't one assume the same to be true today? The Power Glove failed because it was an overly simplified version of the Data Glove. Simplified to the point of not being useful. The technology being used today in VR is nearly the most advanced available and cost-effective because it is already being mass-produced for things like smartphones and game systems. Virtuality failed more because the era of the video game arcades was winding down in favor of home video game consoles and games on PCs. Today's VR is targeting the home consumer and even looking to reboot the video game arcades. The Virtual Boy failed because it was never virtual reality in the first place, and just a terrible product in general. Finally, VR in the 90s failed because the computers were simply not up to the task of providing a compelling VR experience for a reasonable price, and they were not going to for a very long time. Today, the smartphone in your pocket is more powerful than most supercomputers from the 90s. We have higher resolution screens, faster frame rates, more compelling VR working, and getting to consumers right now. Because after all, it is 20 years later. Thanks for watching, and let me know what you think in the comments below. Subscribe to my channel because I'll be debunking more arguments by the VR haters very soon. Have a good one.